Rachel had recently been entrusted with the deeply serious and emotionally charged duty of caring for an elderly gentleman who, due to his debilitating condition, was rendered entirely unresponsive and dependent. On one particularly quiet day, as she sat in her small but cozy apartment, the serene ambience was abruptly fractured by the harsh, discordant ring of her telephone. The piercing sound cut through the tranquility like a jarring blast, jolting Rachel from her thoughts and sending an icy shiver down her spine. The sudden disruption felt almost like an omen, unsettling her with its unexpectedness. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. With a start, she stood from her chair, where she had been deeply engrossed in reviewing her meticulously organized notes, each one a testament to her unwavering dedication and the emotional weight of her daily responsibilities. Her heart beat with a mixture of anxiety and curiosity as she reached for the receiver, her mind already racing with possibilities about who might be calling and why. "Hello, this is Rachel Green," she answered, her voice steady but imbued with a touch of professional warmth, striving to counteract the sudden rush of nerves. On the other end of the line, a deep and measured voice introduced itself. "Good afternoon, Miss Green. My name is Ross Rufus, and I'm reaching out on behalf of my family. We have an urgent and significant proposal that we would like to discuss with you." Rachel's eyebrows arched in surprise. The prospect of receiving a job offer from an unknown source was both unusual and intriguing, and her initial reaction was one of cautious curiosity. In her experience, such unsolicited offers were rare, especially when they came from individuals she had no prior acquaintance with. "Certainly, Mr. Rufus. Could you please elaborate on the nature of this proposal?" Rachel inquired, her voice a blend of professional curiosity and genuine interest. Ross's tone grew more serious as he continued. "Our family is currently facing an incredibly challenging situation and is in desperate need of an experienced and compassionate nurse. My father, Frank Rufus, has been trapped in a vegetative state for several years now, and we are in urgent need of someone to provide him with full-time care within the confines of our home." As Rachel listened, her heart went out to the Rufus family. The gravity of their situation was palpable, and she could sense the emotional strain in Ross's voice. "I'm truly sorry to hear about your father's condition. Could you provide me with more detailed information regarding the specific care he requires?" Rachel asked, her tone softening with empathy and a genuine desire to understand the full scope of the situation. Ross explained with a sense of both urgency and sorrow. "Mr. Rufus requires round-the-clock assistance. This includes feeding, maintaining personal hygiene, administering medications, and providing all other forms of care necessary for someone in his condition. Our family has been taking turns caring for him, but this arrangement has become increasingly unsustainable. That's why we are seeking a dedicated nurse who can commit to providing consistent, permanent care." Rachel listened attentively, jotting down notes with a sense of gravity. The implications of such a commitment were significant, and she understood that accepting this role would entail a profound level of dedication. "I see. And how long would you need my services for?" she asked, her voice reflecting a mix of concern and contemplation. "An indefinite period," Miss Green, Ross replied with a tone of quiet resignation. "Our father is 85 years old, and regrettably, his condition shows no signs of improvement. Ideally, we would like a nurse who could move in with him and provide continuous care within our home environment." The enormity of the request hung heavily in the air, and Rachel felt the weight of the decision before her. To accept this role would mean a significant change in her professional routine and personal life, relocating to Mr. Rufus's residence and dedicating herself entirely to his care. The delicate nature of the situation and the profound impact it would have on both her and the Rufus family made this offer one that demanded serious contemplation. Rachel knew that whatever decision she made would require not only professional competence, but also deep emotional resilience and commitment. Rachel's heart raced as she processed the gravity of the situation before her. "I understand," she said with a blend of curiosity and caution. "And what kind of payment are you offering for this service?" Ross's response was both clear and compelling. "We are prepared to offer a very generous monthly amount, Miss Green. Our father is financially secure, and we are committed to ensuring he receives the best care possible. We're offering $5,000 per month, in addition to covering all your living expenses at our home," he explained. Rachel's eyes widened in disbelief. $5,000 a month, she echoed, her mind racing. The offer was more than double her usual rate. For a fleeting moment, the temptation to accept immediately was almost overwhelming, but she knew better than to make a hasty decision. "That is indeed a generous offer, Mr. Rufus," Rachel replied, her voice tinged with cautious intrigue. "May I ask why your family is willing to pay such a substantial amount for these services?" Ross took a deep, weary breath before answering. "The truth is, my father's health has deteriorated significantly over the years. My sister and I have our responsibilities and families, and we can no longer provide the level of care he needs. We are simply looking to ensure he receives the best possible care in his remaining years." Though Rachel was still not entirely convinced, she decided to give Ross the benefit of the doubt. "I understand. I will need to think it over before making a final decision. When would you need me to start?" "As soon as possible," Miss Green, Ross said urgently. "My father requires constant care, and our current temporary nurse is unable to continue for much longer. If you could provide your response within the next few days, it would be greatly appreciated." "All right, Mr. Rufus. I will inform you of my decision as soon as possible." "Thank you for extending this opportunity to me," Rachel responded, trying to mask her rising apprehension. "I'll send you my contact details via email. I hope we can proceed accordingly. Have a great afternoon." "You too. Goodbye," Ross replied, ending the call. Rachel sat in thoughtful silence for several minutes, the weight of the offer pressing heavily upon her. The generous salary was tempting, especially since it would cover her living expenses and eliminate transportation and food costs. However, the substantial payment also raised her suspicions. Was there something more to this offer than met the eye? As a nurse with over a decade of experience, Rachel took immense pride in her work and was committed to delivering exceptional care to her patients. She recognized that caring for a patient in a vegetative state full-time would be a formidable challenge, but it also presented an opportunity to utilize her skills to their fullest extent. The financial aspect was undeniably appealing, offering a chance to save for her future. Yet, she knew she needed to proceed with caution. After careful consideration, Rachel resolved to accept the proposal, but with a prudent approach. She decided to make some discreet inquiries into the Rufus family's background and the specifics of Mr. Rufus's condition to ensure there were no hidden complications. Rachel reviewed her schedule and confirmed that she had no pressing commitments in the coming days. She sent a message to her current patients, informing them that she would be temporarily unavailable, and then composed a detailed response for Ross Rufus. "Dear Mr. Rufus, after thorough consideration of your generous offer, I am pleased to inform you that I am willing to accept the position to care for your father, Frank Rufus. I am available to commence next week, should this timing be convenient for you. Before finalizing the arrangements, I would appreciate it if you could provide some additional details. Could you please share the exact address of Mr. Rufus's residence? I would also like more information regarding his current health status and the specific care he requires. Additionally, if there are any other pertinent details about the family situation or the care environment, please let me know. I look forward to your response and am grateful for the opportunity. Sincerely, Rachel Green." After sending the email, Rachel took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Excitement mingled with apprehension as she prepared for this new chapter. She knew that while the generous salary was a significant factor, her primary focus must remain on providing exceptional care for Mr. Rufus. 2 days later, Rachel received Ross's reply, providing the requested details. Mr. Rufus's residence was located in an upscale, exclusive neighborhood of the city, within a grand mansion befitting a wealthy family. The medical information revealed that the elderly man had suffered a severe stroke 5 years prior, leaving him in a persistent vegetative state. He required continuous assistance with feeding, mobility, hygiene, and medication management. Regarding the family dynamics, Ross detailed that he and his sister Monica were the sole children of Mr. Rufus. Both had their own lives and families, making it increasingly difficult for them to dedicate the necessary time to their father's care. The family had been managing the situation by rotating shifts, but this was no longer feasible, prompting their search for a full-time, dedicated nurse. Rachel stood at the imposing gate of the Rufus mansion, her heart pounding with a mixture of determination and trepidation. Her suitcases, packed with her essentials, rested by her side as she prepared to embark on what she hoped would be a transformative chapter in her career. The grandeur of the mansion loomed before her, a stark reminder of the opulence and, perhaps, the complexities that lay ahead. As she waited, the butler approached, his demeanor impeccably polite and his mannerisms exuding the refined professionalism one would expect in such a setting. "Welcome, Miss Green," he said with a courteous nod. "Mr. Rufus is expecting you." He guided her through the lush, meticulously landscaped gardens and into the mansion's stately interiors, their luxuriousness almost overwhelming. The corridors were lined with priceless artwork and exquisite furnishings, a testament to the wealth and status of the Rufus family. When they finally reached Mr. Rufus's room, Rachel was struck by the sheer scale and elegance of the space. The room was vast, with high ceilings and opulent decor that spoke of a bygone era of grandeur. Mr. Rufus's bed was situated centrally, surrounded by an array of medical equipment and monitors that beeped rhythmically, a constant reminder of his frailty. A comfortable armchair and a small table beside the bed hinted at the long hours someone had spent in this room, keeping vigil over the ailing man. "Here we are," said the butler, indicating the bed. "Mr. Rufus is awaiting your presence." Rachel approached with a mix of apprehension and resolve, her eyes taking in the sight of the elderly man before her. His face was a portrait of frailty, etched with the lines of a life well lived but now overshadowed by illness. Despite his emaciated appearance, there was a regal air about him, a hint of the dignity he once commanded. He lay there, connected to various tubes and cables that monitored his vital signs, seemingly deep in slumber. "Good afternoon, Mr. Rufus," Rachel said softly as she moved closer. "I'm Rachel Green, the nurse assigned to take care of you from now on." To her astonishment, Mr. Rufus's eyes fluttered open, revealing a surprising clarity. Rachel stood momentarily frozen, caught off guard by the unexpected lucidity. Mr. Rufus fixed her with a gaze that was both penetrating and serene, and then, with great effort, he managed a weak smile. "Welcome, Rachel," he rasped, his voice barely more than a whisper. "I've been waiting for you." Rachel was momentarily at a loss. "How is it possible that you," she began, only to be interrupted by Mr. Rufus. "Shh, calm yourself. We have much to discuss, but first, let me thank you for accepting this role," he said warmly, his gaze steady and earnest. Rachel nodded, though her mind was racing with questions about how to proceed. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Rufus," she said, trying to maintain her composure. "As I mentioned, I'm Rachel Green, a nurse with over a decade of experience. I'll be here 24/7, providing you with the utmost care and attention." "I am aware, Rachel. I've heard of your excellent reputation, and I'm confident you'll be able to assist me, Mr. Rufus replied, his voice a mere whisper, but filled with a sense of profound sincerity. Rachel's brow furrowed in confusion as she tried to reconcile this unexpected level of awareness with the information she had received. "Forgive my curiosity, Mr. Rufus, but how is it possible that you are so lucid? According to the details I was given, you were in a vegetative state." Mr. Rufus sighed deeply, his expression darkening. "That is precisely the reason I requested your assistance, Rachel. I need your help." Rachel leaned in closer, her curiosity piqued and her sense of urgency heightened. "What is going on, Mr. Rufus? How can I assist you?" "There is something of great importance you need to know, Mr. Rufus said, his voice laced with concern. "My children, Ross and Monica, have sinister plans. They want to eliminate me to gain control of my fortune." Rachel's heart raced with shock and disbelief. "What? How is that even possible?" "It is true, Rachel," Mr. Rufus confirmed, his eyes reflecting a deep sadness. "My children have been plotting to dispose of me. They hired you to care for me, not just for my well-being, but to keep a close watch on you and ensure their plans are not uncovered." Rachel's mind was a whirlwind of emotions. She had suspected something was amiss with the job offer, but this revelation was far more sinister than she could have imagined. "But why are you still here if they want to get rid of you?" "Because they are unaware of my moments of lucidity, Mr. Rufus explained. "I need your help to expose their scheme and ensure justice prevails before it's too late." Rachel felt a surge of determination. "What do you need me to do?" "I need you to observe them closely, gather evidence of their intentions, and then take the necessary steps to protect yourself and expose their deceit, Mr. Rufus instructed. "It will be a challenging task, but it is crucial for uncovering the truth." Rachel took a deep breath, feeling the immense responsibility settling upon her shoulders. "I will do everything in my power to help you, Mr. Rufus. I promise." With that, Rachel began her role as Mr. Rufus's nurse, her mission now extending far beyond mere caregiving. She had to remain vigilant, collect evidence, and safeguard herself from the dangerous machinations of her employers. As the days unfolded, Rachel would navigate a treacherous landscape of deception and intrigue, all while providing the highest level of care to the ailing man. The stakes were high, and the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but Rachel was resolute in her commitment to uncover the truth and protect those who could not protect themselves. Rachel had anticipated that her role in the Rufus mansion would be fraught with challenges, but she hadn't imagined just how delicate and dangerous the situation would become. Every morning, she arrived at the mansion early, prepared to face the weight of her dual responsibilities. As she tended to Mr. Rufus, she carried out her duties with meticulous care, feeding him, assisting with mobility, administering medications, and ensuring his comfort and hygiene. Despite his seemingly vegetative state, Mr. Rufus remained lucid and alert in her presence, and they used their time together to strategize and share vital information. During one of their quiet, private conversations, Mr. Rufus confided in Rachel, his voice barely above a whisper. "My children visit me twice a week, typically on Wednesdays and Sundays. During these visits, you must maintain the pretense of my condition. We cannot afford to arouse any suspicion." Rachel nodded with grave determination. "I understand, Mr. Rufus. I will uphold the facade and do everything in my power to ensure your safety." The gratitude in Mr. Rufus's eyes was evident. "Thank you, Rachel. Your trustworthiness means everything to me. You are the only one I can rely on." Moved by the responsibility entrusted to her, Rachel felt a surge of resolve. Despite the perilous nature of her new role, she was committed to uncovering the truth and thwarting the sinister plot against Mr. Rufus. As the days went by, Rachel observed Ross and Monica during their visits. They appeared outwardly concerned, yet Rachel detected an underlying coldness in their demeanor. Their interactions were laced with veiled distance, and Rachel often caught them exchanging furtive glances or whispering in hushed tones when they thought no one was listening. After each visit, Rachel would report her observations to Mr. Rufus. The elderly man's expression would darken in response. "My intuition is accurate. Ross and Monica are indeed scheming something dreadful. We must remain vigilant," he would say, his voice tinged with worry. Rachel was careful to stay composed during these discussions, knowing that any lapse in her demeanor could jeopardize their precarious situation. One afternoon, as Ross and Monica were preparing to leave, Rachel accompanied them to the grand entrance of the mansion. Ross turned to her with an inscrutable expression. "Miss Green, it's reassuring to see that my father is in capable hands. I hope you realize how much we value your dedication," he said, his tone betraying a hint of forced civility. "Thank you, Mr. Rufus. I am committed to providing the best possible care for your father," Rachel replied, maintaining her professional facade. As she watched them depart, a knot of unease settled in her stomach. She knew that every interaction and every moment of vigilance were critical. Days passed with a palpable tension hanging over the mansion. Rachel continued her routine, ever watchful for any sign of further deceit. The atmosphere in the mansion was charged with anticipation as the day approached when she and Mr. Rufus planned to confront Ross and Monica. They had gathered sufficient evidence to expose the siblings' malicious intentions, and the time had come to act. When Ross and Monica arrived for their scheduled visit, Rachel greeted them with her usual professionalism, informing them that Mr. Rufus was stable and that there were no new developments. She then discreetly withdrew, leaving them alone with their father. Once alone, Mr. Rufus slowly opened his eyes and regarded his children with a steely gaze. "Hello, my children," he said, his voice firm. Ross and Monica froze their faces, a mixture of shock and disbelief. "Father, how is this possible?" Ross stammered, struggling to comprehend the sight before him. "Oh, I see you're surprised. Perhaps you shouldn't be. After all, you are the ones who have kept me in this state all along, Mr. Rufus replied, his tone laced with reproach. Monica's face turned pale, her eyes wide with fear. "Father, I don't understand what you're implying." Mr. Rufus's gaze was unrelenting. "Your schemes have not gone unnoticed. I am fully aware of your plans to dispose of me to inherit my fortune. You thought you could deceive everyone, but the truth is now out in the open." The tension in the room was thick, as Ross and Monica struggled to process the gravity of their father's words. Rachel, standing just outside the room, could only hope that the evidence they had collected would be enough to ensure justice and protect Mr. Rufus from further harm. The confrontation had begun, and the outcome was uncertain, but Rachel remained steadfast in her commitment to see the truth prevail. "Don't deceive me anymore, Mr. Rufus demanded, his voice breaking through the tension with a forceful edge. "I know all about your plans to get rid of me and inherit my fortune. You are monsters." Ross and Monica's faces drained of color as they exchanged horrified glances. The pretense was shattered, and the reality of their father's knowledge hit them hard. Before they could react, the door swung open and Rachel entered, flanked by 2 police officers. "What is the meaning of this?" Ross bellowed, his face contorted with rage as he confronted Rachel. "Mr. and Miss Rufus, you are under arrest for attempted murder and fraud," one of the officers declared, stepping forward with handcuffs ready. Monica gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief and panic. "You can't do this. We demand a lawyer," she pleaded, her voice quivering with desperation. "It's too late for that, Monica," Mr. Rufus interjected, his tone laden with disillusionment. "We've gathered ample evidence of your nefarious scheme. Now, you will face justice for your crimes." As the officers handcuffed the Rufus siblings, their protests and pleas echoed down the hallway, gradually fading away. The room fell silent, leaving Mr. Rufus and Rachel alone. Rachel moved closer to the bed, gently placing her hand on Mr. Rufus's arm. "How are you feeling, Mr. Rufus?" she asked softly. Mr. Rufus sighed deeply. A mix of relief and sorrow etched on his face. Relieved, Rachel, but also profoundly disappointed. "I can hardly believe that my children were capable of such treachery." "I can only imagine how painful this must be," Rachel replied, her voice tender as she squeezed his hand. "Unfortunately, it had to come to this, but I couldn't let them succeed in their plans." Mr. Rufus nodded, a somber expression clouding his features. "Indeed, Rachel. It was essential to prevent them from carrying out their plot and tarnishing my legacy." Rachel remained silent for a moment, acutely aware of the emotional toll this ordeal had taken on the elderly man. After a pause, she ventured, "What happens now, Mr. Rufus?" Mr. Rufus looked at her with a renewed sense of determination. "Now, Rachel, we must ensure that Ross and Monica face the consequences of their actions. They cannot be allowed to escape justice." "You can count on me for anything you need," Rachel vowed with unwavering resolve. "I will do everything in my power to help you achieve justice." A faint, appreciative smile crossed Mr. Rufus's face. "Thank you, Rachel. I trust you implicitly. Together we will see that my children receive the punishment they deserve." In the days that followed, Rachel and Mr. Rufus threw themselves into preparing for the legal battle ahead. They meticulously gathered additional evidence, combed through the mansion's records, and collected testimonies from those who could shed light on the Rufus family's dark plans. Every detail mattered, and they worked tirelessly to build a case strong enough to secure a conviction. Finally, the day of the trial arrived. Rachel stood by Mr. Rufus's side as they entered the courtroom, offering her unwavering support. The atmosphere was charged with tension as the case unfolded. Ross and Monica Rufus faced serious charges, including attempted murder and fraud. One by one, the prosecution presented witnesses and evidence, dismantling the siblings' defenses with a meticulous array of damning information. The bank records, incriminating communications, and Mr. Rufus's harrowing testimony painted a clear and undeniable picture of their guilt. After hours of intense deliberation, the courtroom awaited the verdict in anxious silence. The decision would determine the future of the Rufus family and the fulfillment of justice for Mr. Rufus. Rachel held her breath, her heart pounding as the final judgment approached, knowing that their efforts had brought them to this pivotal moment. Ross and Monica Rufus were found guilty on all counts, their fate sealed by the weight of their crimes. The courtroom was charged with a tense silence as the judge delivered their sentences, long prison terms reflecting the gravity of their actions. As the officers handcuffed the siblings and led them away, Rachel observed the profound anguish etched on their faces, juxtaposed against the stern composure of Mr. Rufus. Though his face remained stoic, the sorrow in his eyes was palpable. After the courtroom had emptied, Rachel approached Mr. Rufus, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. "How are you holding up, Mr. Rufus?" she asked, her voice soft and supportive. Mr. Rufus exhaled a heavy sigh, his eyes meeting hers with a blend of relief and deep sadness. "Overwhelmed. I never imagined my children could be so capable of such cruelty." "I can only imagine how hard this must be for you," Rachel said gently, giving his shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "Yes, they were always driven by ambition and selfishness, but I never thought they'd resort to such extremes, Mr. Rufus replied, shaking his head in disbelief. Rachel remained quiet, allowing him the space to express his feelings. Even with the justice that had been served, she understood that the emotional toll of the ordeal was significant. "Well, at least they're paying for their crimes now, and you are safe, Mr. Rufus said, attempting to find solace in the outcome. "That's true. Your courage and the evidence we gathered have made all the difference, Rachel reminded him with a look of admiration and respect. Mr. Rufus nodded slowly. Yes, I owe it all to you, Rachel. Without your unwavering help and dedication, I might not have been able to stop them. It was truly a team effort, Rachel replied warmly. I'm honored to have been able to assist you through this challenging time. The elderly man's gratitude was evident as he took Rachel's hand in his. I will be forever grateful to you, Rachel. You are an exceptional person, and I trust you completely. Rachel's heart swelled with pride and emotion. The bond that had formed between them was far more profound than a typical nurse-patient relationship. It was a connection built on trust and mutual respect. In the weeks that followed, the Rufus mansion returned to a semblance of normalcy. Mr. Rufus was once again under Rachel's attentive care, free from his children's deceitful schemes. Yet the peace was interrupted when Rachel received a new and surprising message from Mr. Rufus. Rachel, I have decided on my estate, Mr. Rufus's voice conveyed a mix of deep emotion and resolve. I wish to leave my entire fortune to you. Rachel was stunned, her emotions caught off guard. But Mr. Rufus, I didn't help you for any financial reward. I did it because I believed it was the right thing to do. I understand, Rachel, Mr. Rufus said, his voice trembling slightly. But your dedication, bravery, and loyalty have been extraordinary. You went above and beyond to protect me and secure justice. This is my way of showing my gratitude for everything you have done. Rachel was deeply moved and accepted the gesture with humility and appreciation. Thank you, Mr. Rufus. Your trust and kindness mean more to me than words can express. I will continue to care for you with the same commitment and affection as always. With this new chapter of their lives unfolding, Rachel and Mr. Rufus faced the future with a renewed sense of hope and a strengthened bond, their journey marked by extraordinary trust and enduring respect. Mr. Rufus's face was illuminated by a smile of relief and satisfaction. I know, Rachel. You are a remarkable person, and I am grateful to have you by my side. As the months passed, Rachel continued to care for Mr. Rufus with unwavering dedication and affection. Despite the significant changes in their lives, their bond grew even stronger. Rachel had earned Mr. Rufus's deep trust and gratitude, and the sense of fulfillment from having helped him achieve justice and safety was a profound reward. One day, as they sat together in the garden, Rachel gently took Mr. Rufus's hand. You would have done the same for me, she said, her voice sincere. Mr. Rufus responded with a warm smile, squeezing her hand lightly. You are a true friend, Rachel, and I will be forever grateful for that. From that moment on, their relationship transcended the boundaries of a typical nurse-patient connection. They spent long hours conversing, sharing stories, and developing a bond that was both deep and meaningful. Mr. Rufus began to recover from the trauma, finding renewed motivation to live. Rachel, in turn, felt honored and deeply committed to his well-being. Together, they kept a close eye on the legal proceedings related to Ross and Monica's case. The siblings had been sentenced to long prison terms, bringing some measure of peace to Mr. Rufus. However, Rachel was acutely aware that he still carried the emotional weight of the ordeal. One afternoon, while strolling through the lush gardens of the mansion, Mr. Rufus stopped and faced Rachel with a serious expression. Rachel, there's something I'd like to discuss with you, he said, his voice tinged with gravity. Of course, Mr. Rufus. What's on your mind, she replied, attentive and concerned. Mr. Rufus took a deep breath and looked at her with determination. After everything we've been through, I've come to realize that my time here is drawing to a close. I want to ensure my legacy is left in good hands. Rachel was taken aback by his words. What do you mean, Mr. Rufus? I'm talking about my fortune and everything I've built over my lifetime. Ross and Monica have proven themselves unworthy of inheriting it, Mr. Rufus explained, a trace of sorrow in his voice. And I'd like you to have it, Rachel. Rachel stood in stunned silence, her mind racing. Had she heard him correctly? Was Mr. Rufus truly offering her his fortune? Mr. Rufus, I don't know what to say. This is too much, she stammered, struggling to grasp the enormity of the offer. The elderly man regarded her with a serene expression. I understand, Rachel. I know this is an unexpected proposal, but after everything you've done for me, I believe there is no one else I can trust with my legacy. Rachel shook her head, still in disbelief. But why me? I'm just your nurse, someone who came into your life by chance. Mr. Rufus smiled softly. Exactly because of that, Rachel. You are not like Ross and Monica, who only sought to benefit from my misfortune. You have shown genuine kindness and a sincere heart. Rachel looked at him with a mix of emotion and skepticism. Even so, Mr. Rufus, I can't accept something like this. It's too much. Mr. Rufus's eyes were filled with understanding. Rachel, your humility and dedication have touched me deeply. I've thought long and hard about this decision, and I genuinely believe that you are the right person to carry on my legacy. Rachel was overwhelmed by the gesture. The idea of accepting such a significant inheritance was daunting, but she knew it came from a place of deep gratitude and trust. I'm honored by your offer, Mr. Rufus, but I need to think about it. It's a huge responsibility. Take all the time you need, Mr. Rufus said gently. What matters most is that you feel right about this decision. Rachel nodded, her heart full of mixed emotions. Thank you, Mr. Rufus. I promise to consider it carefully. As they continued their walk through the gardens, the bond between Rachel and Mr. Rufus was stronger than ever. The future remained uncertain, but their shared journey had created a lasting connection that would guide them both through whatever lay ahead. Please, Rachel, let me do this. I want to ensure that my fortune is used for good, and I know that with you, it will be in the right hands, the elderly man insisted, holding her hands with gentle urgency. Rachel remained silent, her mind racing to process the enormity of the offer. On one hand, the idea of inheriting Mr. Rufus's vast fortune seemed almost surreal. On the other, the trust and affection he had shown her were deeply moving. After a long pause, Rachel let out a sigh and met Mr. Rufus's gaze with determination. Mr. Rufus, I deeply appreciate your trust in me, but I can't accept this legacy. It wouldn't be right. The elderly man's face showed surprise. Why not, Rachel? Because you deserve to enjoy your fortune. I am just your nurse, and accepting such a gift would feel like taking advantage of the situation, Rachel explained firmly. Mr. Rufus's expression was a mix of frustration and pride. Rachel, you are an extraordinary woman. You must understand that, to me, you are much more than just a nurse. Rachel was at a loss for words. Mr. Rufus continued, since you entered my life, you've been a cornerstone of support. You've cared for me with such dedication and even risked your safety to protect me. That makes you incredibly special to me. Her eyes welled up with tears at his heartfelt words. Mr. Rufus, you've already done so much for me. I can't accept this legacy. The elderly man gently squeezed her hands. After what Ross and Monica tried to do to me, I can't let my legacy fall into the wrong hands. I trust you, Rachel. I know you will keep it safe. Rachel looked at him, her heart a mix of gratitude and trepidation. But what if I can't manage something like this? I have no experience in handling a fortune. Don't worry about that. I have trusted advisors who will guide you every step of the way, Mr. Rufus reassured her with a calming smile. Rachel remained silent, feeling overwhelmed by the offer. She understood that rejecting it might hurt Mr. Rufus, but the idea of becoming the heir to his wealth felt too burdensome. Finally, with a resigned smile, she spoke, "Mr. Rufus, I deeply appreciate your trust in me, but I can't accept being the heir to your fortune." The elderly man looked at her with a mix of disappointment and confusion. "Why not, Rachel? I thought you would understand how important it is for me to ensure my legacy is secure." "I understand, Mr. Rufus, but I don't feel comfortable accepting something so significant. You deserve to enjoy your wealth and use it as you see fit," Rachel explained gently, squeezing his hands in reassurance. Mr. Rufus's eyes showed his internal conflict. "Rachel, please, I need to know that my fortune won't end up with people like Ross and Monica. You are the only person I trust completely." Rachel took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "I understand your concerns, Mr. Rufus, but accepting such a substantial inheritance just doesn't feel right to me." The elderly man's frustration was evident. "Don't you see how much you mean to me, Rachel? You've risked everything to protect me. You are the only person I can trust." Rachel looked at him with tenderness, her heart aching. "Mr. Rufus, you are very important to me, but I can't accept this legacy. It wouldn't be fair to you." For a moment, Mr. Rufus was silent, his gaze reflecting a complex mix of emotions. Finally, he sighed, a note of resignation in his voice. "I understand, Rachel. I respect your decision. Even though it pains me, I know you are a person of integrity and a big heart." Mr. Rufus then said, gently squeezing her hands, "I deeply appreciate your integrity, Rachel, but I still want to ensure your future is secure." Rachel looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean, Mr. Rufus?" "I mean that even if you can't accept my inheritance, I want to make sure you are rewarded for everything you've done for me," Mr. Rufus explained, a small smile touching his lips. Rachel shook her head, ready to protest. "Mr. Rufus, it's not necessary. Everything I've done has been because you deserved it, not for any reward." "I know, Rachel, and that's exactly why I want to do this, Mr. Rufus insisted with a determined look. "After all you've sacrificed, you deserve to have a peaceful and secure future." Rachel looked at him, a mixture of gratitude and concern on her face. "Mr. Rufus, you don't have to do anything. You've already given me so much. Please, Rachel, let me do this. It's the least I can do to thank you, Mr. Rufus said with a pleading tone. Rachel paused, recognizing that it was futile to dissuade him. Finally, she nodded gently. "Very well, Mr. Rufus. I accept your offer," she said with a resigned smile. The elderly man's face brightened with satisfaction as he gently squeezed Rachel's hands. "I'm glad, Rachel. I trust that you will make good use of what I offer you." From that moment, Mr. Rufus and Rachel began to plan and secure her future. Although Rachel remained uncomfortable with the idea of receiving such a substantial amount, she felt a deep sense of gratitude towards the man who had entrusted her with his legacy. As time passed, Mr. Rufus seemed to grow more peaceful. He had successfully exposed his children's schemes and safeguarded his wealth. Now, he could enjoy his remaining years surrounded by Rachel's companionship and care. One afternoon, while walking through the mansion's gardens, Mr. Rufus paused, looking at Rachel thoughtfully. "Rachel, can I ask you something?" he asked gently. "Of course, Mr. Rufus." "What is it?" she responded, giving him her full attention. The elderly man looked at her with a blend of fondness and wistfulness. "Have you ever thought about your future, about what you will do once I'm no longer here?" Rachel was taken aback, unsure how to answer. "Well, honestly, I haven't given it much thought. My main concern has been staying by your side and helping you." Mister, Rufus smiled gently. And that's why I have such deep respect and admiration for you. But I want you to start thinking about your future, your plans. The nurse looked at him, touched by his concern. Thank you, Mr. Rufus. I will certainly think about it. Your concern means a lot to me. Mr. Rufus gave her a reassuring smile. I'm glad to hear that, Rachel. Whatever happens, I will always be grateful for everything you have done for me. Rachel squeezed his hand gently, feeling a mix of emotions. I will always be grateful for everything you have done for me too, Mr. Rufus. They continued their walk in silence, savoring the tranquility of the gardens. Despite the weight of their conversation, they both felt a sense of peace, knowing that their bond would continue to be a source of strength and support for each other. As we wrap up today's journey, we've witnessed a profound story of trust, integrity, and the strength of human connection. From the heartfelt bond between Rachel and Mr. Rufus to the ethical dilemmas and personal choices that shaped their relationship, it's clear that the lessons we've learned are deeply impactful. So, what have you discovered from this story? How has it resonated with you? And what insights can you take away? I invite you to share one thing you've learned and how you plan to bring it into your own life in the comments below. Your reflections are valuable and can inspire others in our community. If you found this video meaningful, please leave your comment below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content that explores the depth of human experiences and relationships. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.